Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to my space. Today was supposed to be one of those clean, productive, aesthetic routine days. You know the ones I am talking about. The days where you wake up early, make your bed perfectly, drink warm water, work out, eat healthy meals, and finish every single task before sunset. That was the plan. That was the exact plan I wrote down last night in my notebook. But life had completely different plans for me today. If you have been following my daily vlogs for a while, you know that whenever I try to make my routine look smooth and organized, something always goes sideways. And honestly, today was the peak of that. So grab your cup of chai or coffee, sit back, relax, and let me walk you through everything that happened today from the moment my eyes opened to this very second. It all started at 5:45 this morning. My alarm went off. That soft, gentle tone that is supposed to wake you up peacefully, but actually just annoys your soul. I did not hit snooze today. I was genuinely determined. I sat up on the bed, stretched my arms, and looked at the window. The sky outside was still that deep, quiet blue color before the sun actually shows up. The house was completely silent. You know, that rare 30 minutes in the early morning where the entire world feels like it is on pause. No traffic outside, no construction sounds, no notifications buzzing on the phone, just quiet air. I got out of bed, put on my slippers, and made the bed right away. I pulled the sheets tight, fluffed the pillows, and smoothed out the blanket. For about 5 minutes, I felt like I had my entire life together. I walked into the bathroom, splashed cold water on my face, and looked in the mirror. My eyes were half open, hair sticking out in every direction, but my mind was focused. Today is going to be my day, I told myself. Today, I will finish everything. I walked into the kitchen to start the first ritual of the day, the morning boil. I filled the small steel saucepan with water, lit the gas stove, crushed a piece of fresh ginger, added 2 cardamom pods, and let it simmer. The aroma of crushed ginger hitting hot water in the morning is something that instantly resets my brain. I added the tea leaves, let them bubble up, poured in the milk, and watched it turn that perfect rich shade of golden brown. Now, here is the golden rule of making morning tea. The moment you look away, it will overflow. You can stare at the pot for 10 minutes straight and nothing happens. The second you turn around to grab a cup, it rises like a volcano. I turned around for literally 3 seconds to pick up a mug from the rack. I heard that tiny hissing sound. I spun back around, jumped forward, and turned off the stove just as the foam hit the very edge of the pan. Not a single drop spilled. In that moment, I felt like an absolute champion. I poured the tea through the strainer into my favorite ceramic mug, took a deep breath, and walked over to the balcony. Sitting on the balcony with a hot mug in your hands while the city wakes up is my favorite part of the day. The air was cool and crisp. A light breeze was moving through the trees down below. A few stray birds were flying across the rooftops. Down on the street, the early morning newspaper delivery guy cycled past, tossing rolled up papers over the gates with incredible accuracy. I took my first sip. Hot, sweet, slightly spicy from the ginger. Everything felt calm. Everything felt in order. I pulled out my phone, opened my notes app, and looked at today's to-do list. Task 1, deep clean the workspace. Task 2, write and edit the project files. Task 3, go to the market for fresh groceries. Task 4, fix that loose hinge on the bathroom door. Task 5, get at least 30 minutes of exercise. It looked so simple on paper. 5 bullet points, how hard could it possibly be? By 7:30, the quiet morning vibe started fading away. The sun climbed higher, shining bright gold light right across the living room floor. It was time for breakfast. I decided to keep it simple and make some scrambled eggs with toasted bread. I cracked 2 eggs into a bowl, whisked them with a pinch of salt, black pepper, and chopped green chilies. I opened the fridge to grab the butter. Nothing. Just an empty cardboard wrapper sitting on the shelf. Have you ever looked at an empty wrapper in your fridge and wondered who put it back there, only to realize that you live alone? So it was definitely you from 2 nights ago. That was me staring at an empty shelf at 8 in the morning. No butter. No oil left in the small glass dispenser either. Just like that, the first tiny crack in my perfect morning routine appeared. I had to use a tiny drop of ghee instead. It worked out fine, but the eggs tasted a little different than what I was craving. I sat at the dining table, ate quickly, washed my plate, wiped the counter, and decided it was time to get serious. It was 8:15. If I started my desk work now, I could be completely done by noon. I walked into my workroom, pulled the curtains open to let the natural light in, wiped down the desk, and turned on my laptop. I put on my headphones, started my favorite instrumental playlist, and opened the editing timeline. Everything was going smoothly for about 20 minutes. I was cutting clips, organizing folders, fixing audio levels. I was fully in the flow state. Then, out of nowhere, the screen froze, just completely locked up. The mouse cursor turned into that little spinning wheel of despair. I sat back, took a deep breath, and told myself not to panic. Give it a minute, I thought. Maybe it is just rendering a heavy file. 1 minute passed, 2 minutes passed. Then the screen went pitch black and the laptop fan started spinning at maximum speed, sounding like a small jet engine about to take off inside my room. When it finally restarted, a blue screen popped up with a cheerful little message saying, "Installing important updates. Please do not turn off your computer. This might take a while." It was sitting at 1%, one single percent. I just sat there in my chair, staring at the screen, listening to the fan whirring. My entire morning work block completely paused by an automated system update. You know that feeling when you are motivated to work, but technology literally refuses to let you work. It feels like the universe is actively telling you to go sit down and do nothing. But I did not want to waste time. I decided that since my computer was hijacked, I would tackle the outside errands instead. I would go to the grocery store, pick up the butter, get the fresh vegetables, buy the hardware for the door hinge, and come back by the time the laptop finished updating. A perfect pivot. Problem solved. I went to my room, changed out of my cozy home clothes into a simple t-shirt and jeans, grabbed my wallet, and reached for my keys on the entryway hook. The hook was empty. I paused. I always put my keys on the hook. That is the whole point of having a key hook next to the front door. I checked my jacket pockets, nothing. I checked the pockets of the jeans I wore yesterday, empty. I walked into the kitchen, checked the dining table, looked on the kitchen counter next to the microwave, and checked the bathroom shelf. Nowhere. 10 minutes of searching turned into 20 minutes of turning the entire living room upside down. I lifted the sofa cushions, looked under the coffee table, checked inside the fridge just in case my sleepy morning brain had done something absurd, and even checked the laundry basket. I was sweating, slightly annoyed, and talking to myself out loud. Where on earth could a bunch of metal keys just vanish to in a closed apartment? Finally, after 30 minutes of pure frustration, I found them. They were sitting inside the shoe rack, resting right inside my left sneaker. Don't ask me how they got there. I don't even remember touching my sneakers yesterday evening, but there they were, quietly mocking me. I unlocked the main door, stepped out, and headed downstairs. By now, it was already 10:30 in the morning. The quiet breeze from 5:45 was long gone. The street was alive, loud and bustling with energy, cars honking, street vendors calling out, delivery bikes zipping past, and neighbors chatting on the corners. The sun was burning bright and hot. I decided to walk to the local market instead of taking a vehicle because it is only about 15 minutes away, and I needed to get some steps in anyway. Walking through the neighborhood during mid-morning is always an experience. You see the rhythm of everyday life in full swing. I passed by the local tea stall on the corner. The big aluminum kettle was steaming furiously, and a group of local unclejies were sitting on wooden benches, holding small glass cups of tea, passionately debating something about politics and cricket. One of them was waving his hands in the air, making a dramatic point, while the tea maker poured milk from 2 feet up in the air without spilling a single drop. That kind of everyday street skill always amazes me. I kept walking, turned into the main market lane, and reached the vegetable vendor I always buy from. His name is Ramesh Bai, and he has been running the same little corner stall for as long as I can remember. His stall is always a visual treat. Piles of bright red tomatoes, fresh green coriander tied in neat bundles, glossy purple brinjals, crunchy cucumbers, and mounds of fresh ginger and garlic. Ramesh Bai saw me coming and immediately gave me that big welcoming smile. He asked why I was so late today, saying that the freshest spinach was already sold out to the early morning aunties who come at 7. I laughed and told him my laptop held me hostage. He did not really understand what a laptop update meant, but he nodded sympathetically and handed me a small wicker basket to pick my vegetables. I picked out a kilo of potatoes, half a kilo of fresh red onions, some green chilies, a few lemons, and a big bunch of fresh mint leaves because the smell was just irresistible. While he was weighing the vegetables on his old balance scale, I realized something horrifying. I had forgotten to bring my cloth tote bag. Now, if you go to an Indian vegetable market without your own cloth bag, you have to carry 4 or 5 tiny thin plastic